The international role is to protect Libyan people and to support them in achieving this legitimate objective. For me and for all Libyans, it is not if Gaddafi will leave power, it is just when. It might take few weeks, it might take a couple of months, but whatever it takes, the Libyan people are absolutely determined to stick with it and pursue it to the end, even if we lose much more lives. After all, 42 years of nothing, and now, we have everything to go for. We have freedom to go for, we have justice, we have democracy, we have prosperity. Libya is a very wealthy country with a small population, very talented population. We have a very vibrant diaspora of 100,000. We can look forward to a great opportunity to rebuild the country on basis of constitutional, civil, democratic country, civil society, freedom, pluralism, elections, rule of law, all these things that will give the Libyan people have been totally disfranchised and marginalized for 42 years. Now is the chance for the Libyan people to be totally included, full participation politically, economically, culturally, and utilize all the resources we have.
But is that going to happen? Because that's a question I'm putting to Washington, Webster, Griffin Tarpley. Webster, now, the London guest, he was talking about, all right, it's not a matter of when, if, it's a matter of when for Gaddafi to go. But there's too much in the air. Now, of course, when you look at the Americans, they're saying, all right, what are you going to do next? Who's going to end up with the power? We don't know. So we don't have a lot of stakes in there. When you look at the Europeans, they're fighting over it. The Italians are saying, French, you guys are going for the oil. We'll end up with the refugees. There's a lot of fight over that. On the ground, no one knows what's happening. Now, let me have your take on this. Where is this all leading to?
Well, Libya is now occupied by NATO. We've had NATO special forces, U.S., British, and French have been on the ground for more than a month, and they're now in there giving orders to the rebel army. I think the interesting question is the question of the new elites. If you think this is a revolution, and then you say Tantawi in Egypt and Jalil and Yunus in Libya are somehow a new elite, I don't think that will pass muster. Concerning Turkey, I think Turkey gets a place of honor. Erdogan, I believe, has been the one slowing down the massacre of Libyans by these NATO aircraft. We have fewer Predator drones, fewer AC-130 gunships over Libya, thanks to what the Turks have done. Syria. If the Syrian government falls to a color revolution, that will mean that Iran will have lost its main ally in the Middle East. Hezbollah will be completely isolated, and the Russians will be kicked out of the Tartus naval station. I think that's the goal there. In Egypt, the tradition is colonels replace generals. Now we even have a field marshal. The Nasser Free Officers Movement was an anti-imperialist movement, and what did they accomplish? They got the Suez Canal back for Egypt, and they built the Aswan High Dam, a tremendous achievement, the basis of modern Egypt. I'm wondering if there are nationalist colonels somewhere in the Egyptian military who are disgusted by Tantawi as a foreign puppet and who are thinking of precisely some kind of October or November second phase of this revolution to take it to some actual conclusion, rather than just having a weakened version of what you had before, a government in Cairo which is more dependent on the U.S., more obedient, more subjugated, which I think you have at the present time. The Obama policy is essentially, as Professor Pipes has usefully reminded us, the Obama policy is the continuation of Bush with other means. Under Bush, the presence of al-Qaeda was a reason to bomb, a reason to invade. Under Obama, we have the situation where al-Qaeda is used as the ground forces of NATO against the government of a UN member state. And this
all right, now we got less than 5 minutes.
We've got people recognizing that government. They've recognized the government where we don't know who half the people are. Are they members of al-Qaeda? What is their story?
All right, we got less than 5 minutes. We want to see where all of this is actually going. Let's go to the audience in Beirut and let's ask them, where do you think this is going? Of course, different countries, different situations, but where is this going?
Well, first of all, let me say you were asking about democracy. We want to know the definition of democracy in Washington's eyes. First of all, if we achieve democracy here in the Arab world, I don't think Washington is going to like it at all, because first of all, it's definitely going to be against Israel, and Israel is their number one concern. That's one thing. The other thing is about Egypt. It's a long story, but if I have a few minutes only, I need to talk a little bit about the Arab countries. Less than a minute. Well, I just wanted to say that up until the mid 1970s, see, Arab countries had coup d'etat all the time, but because the ruling elite back then, they didn't know what to do or how to control their people. But after 1975 and onwards, they actually came up with the propaganda of controlling their people by elaborating the control of media, the security of their civil society, and all of that. And of course, this paradigm happened for many, many years. And the fear of resistance actually made the people more oppressed, and they were so afraid of uprising. But right now, we're seeing people uprising. They're not afraid anymore. Of course, after Bouazizi's death.
Okay, where would this go? Do you see the light at the end of the tunnel?
Yes, of course, definitely. I see it, and it's going to happen.
All right, could you
all
please...
these dictators are going to go down one by one.
Let me see if others share your optimism in Beirut.
Yes, we do share her optimism in Beirut for sure. I'd like to comment on the gentleman from Washington, if you would allow me, about the Al-Qaeda response inside Libya, for God's sake. I mean, this is a very important point because some, analysts, they've been saying that Al-Qaeda have been working hardly inside Libya in order for the international forces so that they can use it or use it in order to make any plans in order to intervene with Tunisia and Egypt on the borders with Libya. Actually, could be an international conspiracy against the north continent
All right,
of
we have
Africa.
Less than a minute. We have less than a minute. We have less than a minute. Could you pass the mic? Where do you see the end of this, the end game?
I think at the end of the day, what we can wrap up with is that regional powers and players will always act to secure their interests, whether that's in America or in the Arab world, Saudi Arabia and others included, and that we'll have to wait and see what happens, and we need to move forward with cautionary optimism. As part of the Arab youth, we have to keep hoping that things will change for us and our future will be brighter, and we'll keep fighting for our rights, even though real politics will continue.
All right. Any more optimistic note out there?
I want to comment on to the Mr. in Washington. I want to say whatever happens, Hezbollah will not be isolated. He will be. They're always strong. They're always strong. Hezbollah will not be isolated. They will always be strong. Whatever happens. Okay, that's what I want to say.
All right. A lot of countries, a lot of controversies, a lot of protests, thousands killed once again, thousands injured, 2 dictators deposed, a lot more yet to come. No end in sight to what's happening on the streets. Libya, Bahrain, Yemen, Egypt, elsewhere in the region. Well, we'll be watching the events here, and we'll come to you with more links.